Hello, and welcome to Mess World, a podcast dedicated to discussing the highs and lows of pop culture every month. I'm Jessica DeFino, and I write the newsletter Flesh World.
And I'm Emily Kirkpatrick. I write the newsletter I Heart Mess. And yeah, we are Mess World, turns out.
We have a new name, everyone. Welcome.
We're obsessed with rebranding, apparently.
I can't stop rebranding. I really can't stop rebranding.
I mean, I feel like it just makes sense. I mean, it's the obvious. Again, it's just a new mashup of our same names.
Exactly. No, I think everyone's going to love it, honestly. And we're trying something else new today. We are recording some video in addition to the audio.
Quite a drastic change.
I know, challenging me in my anxiety about being perceived, but
you're telling me, girl. I am not big on being perceived, and yet I keep putting myself in front of a camera. God only knows why.
And you're doing great. My big concern is that every podcast I record, like when I record other people's podcasts that have video, I'm like always wearing the same outfit. I'm always wearing the same like silky robe. And I'm like, I'm going to have to start changing this up. But it's just me around the house.
As I've told you before, no one is more critical of my attire than my YouTube viewers when all they can see is literally what podcast viewers can see right now is like chest up. And they're just like, what is this t-shirt? Why are we wearing t-shirts? It's like, that's all I wear. I'm sorry to tell you.
That's so I got like, why do you care? Why do you care?
I think you'll be okay. I also think you can just listen to my thoughts and opinions and ignore the t-shirt. It'll be all right. It's no big deal. I thought you were going to say that you're concerned because on all the podcasts you've been recorded on, something has gone awry with your wardrobe. I'm speaking specifically about the turf shirt heard around the internet.
Oh my gosh. The turf shirt was really unfortunate. And then last week I recorded a podcast, or a couple weeks ago, where I just had no idea that video was going to be recorded. And my hair is like not brushed. My shirt has a coffee stain on it. And then these videos hit Instagram and I was like, oh my God.
Perfect.
But it's fine. It's fine. I think it's actually helping. It's helping.
Yeah, it's good. That's how I also feel about being on cameras is like it's helping me kind of detach from caring about being perceived, caring about how I look. I don't in a weird backwards way. Is the more people comment on my appearance, I'm kind of like, okay, whatever.
More like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, like this is absurd and has nothing to do with anything. Like, cool.
Yeah. Speaking of being perceived in person, we had our launch party.
Oh yeah.
The launch party of the Lowbrow Book Club.
So much fun.
The other week in New York. It was so fun. Thank you to everyone who came.
Yeah, and thank you to St. Dimphna's, the bar, for having.
Oh my gosh, St. Dimphna's is so cool. I think that's going to be like my new go-to spot. The leopard print carpet is just
iconic.
Everything to me.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really good party. Also, for those curious, I did end up going to the Balenciaga party before our own party. I double dipped, and I did feel chicer and cooler for it. So
it was such a cool move.
It was the right choice. And I did, at the Balenciaga party, I ran into someone at Substack who ended up coming to our party. So it all worked out.
Oh yeah, Christina Law.
Christina, yes. Who writes her own great newsletter, The Dry Down, I believe?
The Dry Down Diaries, yeah.
The Dry Down Diaries, yes.
Great for the fragrance heads out there.
But yeah, it was a great party and everyone was so cool. Everyone was insanely nice to me and gave me compliments that as a New Englander I simply can't accept or internalize, but I do appreciate them. Yeah, it's so nice to meet people in real life and remember that I am speaking to real people.
Right. If it wasn't like so stressful to plan an event, I'd want to do stuff all the time.
Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, I am not an event planner, so.
Well, we also have now our monthly Zoom meetups, which are not quite the same as in person, but by the time this podcast comes out, we'll have hosted our first live book club discussion from the Lowbrow Book Club about Thick by Tracy McMillan Cottom with some subscribers like live face-to-face, which I'm super excited about.
I'm so excited about it, and I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts about the book. Like, I just, we've talked about this before, but I just think in conversation is always the best way to learn and to think about what you consume. And yeah.
Completely.
I'm excited. And I'm especially excited for the book we're going to announce for October, which will also be out by the time that this podcast is out, because I don't know, I'm already anticipating some like very heated conversations about about the theories that are happening in there. Because even I, like, reading him, I disagree with some points that are being made, and this author would very much want me to disagree with him. So I feel like I'm reading it in the true spirit, but I'm excited to hear
Yeah,
what
he
other people think.
welcomes
Welcomes
opposition.
discourse.
No, I think it'll be a good next one because for me, by and large, with Thick by Tressie McMillan Cottom, I'm like in full agreement completely at every point. I'm just like, you're a genius.
Yeah,
I love this book. This is everything to
absolutely.
me. So it's nice to mix it up with something where I'm like, I see what you're saying here, and I really just don't agree there.
Totally. But then on other things, I'm like, I couldn't agree. Like, that is such a crazy lens through which to view capitalism and modernity. Like, I'm so excited. We'll get into it next
I'm
week
excited
on
too.
live. Oh, and also we're going to be using some of the theory from our next book to talk about Taylor Swift. Substack invited Jess and I to do a live in anticipation of the release of Taylor's new album. And part of me wonders if they really know what they signed up for in having
I
us
don't
talk
know.
about Taylor. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
We're not going to be gushing.
We're not going to be gushing for sure. We're going to be taking some critical analysis for sure, but that's going to be next Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if anyone wants to hop on Substack and give it a
Yeah,
listen.
Friday
Probably
the
around the
3rd.
time this podcast is out as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Double
probably
dip.
right around then.
An audio rich day for you
It
all out
really
there.
will be for all of us. Let's talk about another pop star
Please.
to kick things off. I want to talk about Selena Gomez and this big report in New York Magazine about the company Wondermind, which she founded with her mother, Mandy Teefey. Did you read that?
No, I didn't.
It was a wild read. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Cut's like investigation into Wondermind. So Wondermind is a mental health startup that was co-founded by Selena Gomez and her mother. And the Cut says Wondermind was supposed to build a world of mental health related content through a website, podcast, TV shows, and films, also consumer products. And its mission was lofty to destigmatize mental health problems and democratize its care. That's Angela Chapin who wrote the story. And it very much matches like Selena Gomez's mission with Rare Beauty too. Like Rare Beauty, her beauty brand has this big mental health component as well. And like with Wondermind, what comes through in the story is that like this is like a personal mission for Selena and her mother. They were both diagnosed with bipolar disorder in their 20s, although Mandy Teefey has since said she's not bipolar and she has an updated diagnosis of ADHD and PTSD, so she doesn't take bipolar medication, which is relevant to the story I'm about to tell.
Okay.
So anyway, the article's kind of like this big gotcha thing. It alleges that like while Mandy was acting as CEO, she had like erratic outbursts against her employees. She like hallucinated things in the office. And was asking employees for help with that, was like snorting substances in her office, neglected her hygiene and office hygiene, like mismanaged the finances in such a way that employees like didn't get their checks on time multiple times.
Yeah.
Which are things that like I think are all reasonably attributed to her illness. But yeah, the story, so it's like a gotcha on how Mandy Teefey was an unfit boss. And Selena Gomez didn't step in to help even when she was alerted to some of the problems at the company, and how all of this like negatively affected the mental health of the employees, which is kind of like this ironic, it's a mental health company that's destroying the mental health of its employees. But I don't know. I had such a hard time with this story because I came away feeling like it kind of ultimately like re-stigmatized mental illness.
Yeah.
And I'm still working out my thoughts, but I think like New York Magazine missed the story here. Like I think the story is about how aestheticizing mental illness in order to destigmatize it does not work. And so, like, for example, one of the products that Mandy Teefey talks about, like, developing in this story was a, quote, Cheetos-like snack topped with a supplement such as ashwagandha powder.
That's very Chloe's Cloud popcorn or whatever, right? The protein
Completely.
popcorn.
So there's, like, products like that, or I'm even thinking of, you know, related Rare Beauty. There's Find Comfort body and hair fragrance mist in the scent Awaken Confidence. And I just feel like we can only like re-stigmatize mental health by suggesting that mental illness is somewhat easily managed through these consumer products. And therefore, when you act out the symptoms of your illness, it's a personal failure because you had all these tools. You had the
Right.
Cheetos with ashwagandha. You had the confidence spray. But it's like confidence is not a cure for bipolar disorder.
Sure. And also I don't know. Obviously, like, this is my first time hearing this story, but part of me also just feels like if you shouldn't you have space, like, isn't part of having, like, mental health struggles or whatever that there is space to, like, make mistakes and, like, have struggles and, like,
Yes,
come back? And also, I don't know, in the descriptions of this business, again, I'm not super familiar with this business, but, like, people not getting paid, like, shouldn't there not be a CFO at this company? Like, where are kind of the
completely.
HR, the checks and balances? Like, why is Selena Gomez's mother the exclusive, like, the one exclusively responsible for all of these activities, which isn't to,
Right.
like, explain away her traumatizing other employees or whatever, but,
Mhm.
where's HR to intervene to, like, stop that or, to
Exactly.
counsel
Yeah,
through that or to help others' mental health, her mental health. Yeah,
right. It sounds like it was kind of set up as a vanity project because Mandy Teefey wanted a project of her own that wasn't
sure.
necessarily, like, run by Selena, that was hers to own, and then it's just like the problem is that this mental health company, Wondermind, like, doesn't seem to have offered or Teefey herself, like,
Mental health.
in this, like, in her roles, like, doesn't offer anyone at the company, like, real accommodations for
Right,
illness. And I think that's because they're not in the business of real accommodations or
right.
solutions. They're in the business of consumer products with, like, mental health adjacent names. Like, some other rare beauty products are like Stay Vulnerable Melting Cream Blush,
Wow.
Kind Words Matte Lipstick, Positive Light Liquid Luminizer. And I just, yeah, I feel like aestheticizing these issues like contributes to the demonization of like actual symptomatic outbursts. And I really just like want to think more about it, like not to be like, oh, all the blame belongs on this company, but it does contribute to this culture that makes it seem like handling your mental illness is as easy as buying like a lipstick or a snack or watching or
Totally.
listening to a podcast.
And I think it's an interesting microcosm of obviously like the larger problem of how we talk about and deal with mental health and aestheticize mental health. And it's
Mhm.
really crazy when you say all those names together like that because I've never heard
I
these
know.
product names. And when you put them all in a row, you're like, oh no.
No, I hear what you're getting. It like all of it seems like so kind of ambient. Like this is kind of the state of the beauty industry or skincare industry right now. We have like secure attachment comfort serum and confidence in a cream and hope in a jar and like all of these are sort of the same thing, but yeah, when you like lump them under this one umbrella, it's kind of like, whoa, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
I remembered what I was going to say. I'm sorry. There's also a car aggressively honking directly outside
What's
my
wrong with
window
this
this
person?
entire time. They're very, very angry. um, I was gonna say, it also kinda reminds me of what we've done to self-care, like, the concept of
Mhm.
self-care, of taking it from this, like, real revolutionary, like, radical action to just kind of this generic, like, "Feel good," like,
Yeah.
"Take a
Yeah.
nap," like, "Take care of yourself." It's just kind of the, like, lightest, most consumeristic version of this actually, like, radical movement. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it seems like we're now doing that with mental health. We're like, "Oh, we'll deal with it through, consumer goods," and yeah, the aestheticizing of it. Which is unfortunate in a country that needs so much real mental health help.
Right. Yeah, I found myself, like, really sympathizing with Selena Gomez's mother throughout this story because
Mm,
it's just clear that she needs a kind of help that she's
not being
not
provided with.
getting,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know, I really do think that this, like, flattening of everything into an aesthetic is a huge part of that.
And also I think into a scandal, like
Yes.
into like kind of a clickbait scandal story. I mean, this is obviously an extremely different example with an extremely different end, but we saw this happen with the media with Kanye too, right? Like as
Mhm.
he's descending into real issues, we have the media just kind of like making light of it or being like, oh, he's so crazy, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is someone who actually very publicly needs help and
Yeah,
support
it's
and
like
has
having a
no
breakdown
resources. Yeah. And it's
completely.
just a new way to capitalize off it in the media.
There's actually, I'll link it in the show notes. There's an article I read from Freddie DeBoer, who has a newsletter on Substack. I forget what it's called, but he wrote an article about this Wondermind investigation, and he actually does bring the Kanye West
Interesting.
of it all into it
Yeah.
and makes some really interesting points. So I'll put that in the show notes for our further reading.
Yeah, I'll be further reading. That sounds interesting.
Wondermind.
Cool. Oh, and in further news of consumerism,
Mm.
Kim Kardashian is collaborating with Nike. Very exciting stuff.
Oh, I've seen.
Oh, how could you miss it? How could anybody miss it? And yeah, I just want to talk a little about because she did a big stunt at the New York Public Library to celebrate the launch of the Skims by Nike collaboration. And I just think it's really interesting to me on many different levels. The first being, I don't know, I was just thinking about this while Kim is walking around New York and all of this kind of I wouldn't say it's the most functional workout gear I've ever seen in my life. It's a lot of
Mhm.
sheer leggings with a thong cut coverage or like a little teeny tiny shrug made of spandex,
Yeah. Who doesn't
or
wanna wear a little evening shrug while they're
yeah,
working out?
she's also dipping into some what I would term do-rags,
Mhm.
quite honestly, is what she's been wearing around the sea, which is a funny circle, well, not funny, not funny, circle back to kind of her appropriation of Black culture. That's the foundation of the
Right.
very core of her brand.
A through line.
But I was thinking, looking at her in one of these Nike outfits walking around, I was just thinking, she is such a strange. Like, obviously, I understand why Nike wants to partner with Skims, right? Like,
Mhm.
massive, successful company making a lot of inroads with young people. Nike right now is having a real branding problem. Honestly, they're not dominating the market the way they have been for decades, and I think they're
Yeah.
feeling the panic of that. So I get the collaboration, but at the same time, Kim is such an odd figure for a sportswear brand because I was thinking it's like this is a woman who actually does work extremely hard in the gym and
Yeah.
documents all of it and
Mhm.
posts it online for our consumption to let you know just how hard she works at creating this body. But at the same time, that is literally not what anyone in the public thinks about when they look at her body. They don't think about the labor that went into it or the gym or her bodybuilder trainer or whatever. They think
Mm.
about the surgical interventions. They think about,
Right.
the extreme proportions and all the money I think that went
Right,
into
right.
crafting this physique.
That's an interesting point, yeah.
And so in that light, I just think it's like, on its very base level, like such a weird figure to be the face of your brand, even if it's just, this quick cash grab.
You know what that reminds me of real quick is related, Kris Jenner being the new face of MAC Foundation, and I'm
Exactly.
like, no one is looking at her and being like, "Oh, her foundation's so great." You're looking at her and
Exactly.
thinking, "Oh, she has a $100,000 facelift," which I think, yeah, is very
That is
him and
one to
Nike.
one. That
Yeah,
is exactly the point that I'm making. It's such
yeah.
a weird disconnect, and it's like I'm being, yeah, I don't know. I'm being sold the simulacrum of health
Mhm.
and beauty, which like you always are, but it's just so laid bare in these
Yeah.
collaborations that it's like it can't help but be striking. This person is so angry outside my
I
door. I
just
don't know what
cannot
to do for
believe they're
them.
still going.
They're gonna rage.
I wanna, like, give them a
Yes.
hug. I wanna give them some, like, kind words matte lipstick. Maybe it would help calm
Yeah,
them down.
that would help calm them. That body mist spray, I believe, would really help bring them the aromatherapy of it all would bring them to their senses. To their credit, it's offside parking. They're doing some street sweeping, I'm sure.
Mhm, mhm.
The rage is
It's
warranted.
hard, you know?
Anyway, if everyone can ignore the honking, another point of fascination for me always whenever Kim collaborates with any sort of brand, I am fascinated by the way that she is able to like absorb and flatten any brand she works with and turn it into an indistinguishable extension of herself and her own
Mm,
aesthetic. And I've seen it happen so many times. I'm always so curious, like, why does the brand want that? Like, money aside, like,
mm,
obviously they want the
mhm,
money. They want the, like,
right.
whatever weird clout they think Kim still has, which I think they're mistaken about, but they don't, the
I
marketing
think
must
so
show
too.
them otherwise. I don't know. But I'm just always curious, as a brand, why would you want to be knocked off by, first of all, by the person that you're bringing into your company? Because she's always going to knock you
Mhm,
off.
right.
And then also, I don't know, why do you want your brand to suddenly look like
Be
Skim to
absorbed.
be
Yeah,
Skims? Yeah, it's absorbed
yeah.
by Skims. I first started thinking about this when she partnered with Balenciaga and she was in her like relentless Pantashoe era because she was exclusively wearing one uniform from the brand every single day. Every time you saw her, it was exactly the same crop sweatshirt with the same Pantashoes. And then she started making Pantashoes at Skims that were
Yeah.
indistinguishable. You could
Oh,
not
wait,
tell the
really?
difference. Yes.
I do not remember the Panta shoe at
Yes.
Skims, but
She started
wow.
make identical. You could not tell the difference. You couldn't tell if she was wearing Skims or if she was wearing Balenciaga when she went out, which is exactly the point, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
interesting.
that's not the first time she's done that. She's done that with designs she wore from Dolce. She ended up making for Skims. Designs she wore for Balmain. She ended up making for Skims. And what is Skims if not just rebranded Yeezy?
Completely. Completely.
Well, without kind of
Especially
the
this
innovation of
latest
Yeezy.
stunt. Especially this latest stunt. I was like, "This
I'm
is
getting
just."
to that. Yes,
I know.
this
Okay, okay,
latest
okay.
stunt is extremely
Imma let you
easy.
cook.
But I'm so fascinated by the way she, yeah, takes brands in, absorbs them. It reminds me of exactly what she does with all her little horcruxes of like dead famous women stuff. Is it's a way to align her brand, and then she becomes them, and then
Mhm.
they are an extension of her. And I just I don't are they not seeing what I'm seeing? Like it's very confusing to me. And then also I'm always curious, like, since Skims is a knockoff of Yeezy, why is she never going to the real source of where Kanye was stealing all of his ideas for Yeezy from, which is Martin Margiela?
Margiela.
Like, all he was doing, I mean, Kanye's basically said this, which he was just going through the archives of Martin Margiela's original designs and straight lifting them,
Mhm.
essentially.
Right.
He posted a million of the original lookbook images on his Instagram
I
that one
remember
time
that.
when he was like flooding his Instagram with posts. But anyway, I just think I wonder if she knows. I wonder if she knows the reference for Yeezy because she's never really stealing from it, and I think that's
Yeah.
odd. Anyway,
That's a good question. I don't know. Who knows what's going on in there?
it's very strange, but I do think it's kind of this like incredible modern capitalist metaphor. Like what she's doing is like it's just all
Mhm.
consuming. Like no brand is individual. Like you think you're choosing between all these different
Right.
labels and houses and, income levels, but really you're all just it's all the same garbage, made out of plastic
Mhm.
and filling landfills, which is cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she celebrated this launch with a performance on the steps of the New York Public Library that I learned in preparing for this segment is called Bodies at Work. That's what the performance was called, Bodies at Work.
Really?
Is that not
Very
fascinating?
interesting. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by that name. And again, yes, as you said, the performance was extremely easy. And by extremely easy, I mean it was extremely Vanessa Beecroft,
Oh,
who
Vanessa
is the
Beacon.
performance artist who would choreograph all of the Yeezy shows and performances and stuff. And I
Mhm.
mean, it's the straight lines, it's the models moving in unison. It's
Mhm.
just kind of crazy. And it also almost looks like a Solange performance.
Oh, I can see that.
Like, just kind of the I don't know, the movement of it, like, it was very militaristic with, like, vague
Mhm.
yoga moves,
Mhm.
and also there was something I don't know, doing it on the steps of the public library and having this kind of, like, vaguely capitalist, militaristic army of indistinguishable athleisure-clad models. I don't know. There was something
Yeah.
very dystopian and alarming about it almost.
I know, I feel like it could be a moment, like, referenced in history books, 100 years from now, if we have history books at that point, like,
Absolutely.
as kind of this emblematic moment of.
Yes. Amy Odell, who writes Back Row on Substack and is also just like a fashion reporter genius, she made a reel about it and she was talking about how she hopes that Kim or Nike like paid the public library very handsomely for this display and for taking
I
over
was
their
going to
steps
say,
and like blocking the entrance for
I
a
think
couple hours.
she must have.
She had to
Um,
have surely.
my sweet, sweet mother, well, okay, big announcement in the middle of this Skims discourse is that, I got engaged a couple weeks ago. So my mom has been,
Yay.
like, getting obsessed with wedding planning stuff, and she's like, "You have to have your wedding at the New York Public Library because you both love to read,"
It is
which
gorgeous in
is
there.
so cute. But she texted immediately, "Oh, never mind, it's $60,000."
No way.
Mhm. I
Wow.
mean, I did not fact check this. This is just from my mother, but I have to imagine that a performance like that must have cost, like, quite a bit of money.
Well, I would hope so. And also, as Amy pointed out, it's like it's at a time when our libraries are, like, particularly vulnerable in this country and, like, need the
Mhm.
money and are shuttering and having to, like, cut back on staff and resources because of Trump's
Right.
order to dismantle the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Um, and so, like, putting on this show in front of this institution that's, like, crumbling. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about the whole event that's, like, so dystopian, but, like, perfectly encapsulates our modern moment to me in the
Yes.
saddest way.
Yes, completely. Well, and it makes me wonder, like, how savvy she is about all of this. Like, does
Yes,
she
as
know
always.
that? Or is this just, like, a natural domino effect of someone who has been completely absorbed into capitalism, and that is I don't know. Does it naturally happen?
That's kind of always my ultimate question with Kim is, like, how much is she aware of what she's doing and how much is just, like, luck and happenstance and who she happens to be and the figure she happens to be in the
Mhm.
world. Because then again, you think about all of the weird MAGA SpawnCon she was doing, all the pivot, the Tesla promo, like, and then you think, maybe this isn't an accident that you're, like, putting
Mhm.
this capitalist
Yeah,
stamp on a public library. I don't know,
I
but
don't know.
it also just reeks of, like, not thinking.
Yes.
Like, not thinking through, just being like, "Glam, like, chic, looks good," like,
Mhm.
seems cool, and not really
Mhm.
thinking about the symbolism or the meaning behind it. I will say I did, the one thing I do appreciate about this performance is the sizing. The size range is, like, pretty,
Yeah.
generous. It goes from extra, extra small to 4X, and they have bra styles that go up to 44 quadruple D.
Wonderful.
I did think it was notable that absolutely 0 dancers at the event displayed any of this body range.
I was just gonna ask.
Nope.
Okay.
No, there were no 44 quadruple Ds out there, I'll tell
We'll
you
take
that.
your money, but we're not gonna represent
Yeah, we
you.
don't wanna show you.
Yeah.
We don't want the public to see you, but we will take money from you. Um, and then, I guess my ultimate fascination with this event was really one singular specific image that I am going to talk about in my newsletter today as well because I'm fixated on it. And it's another like moment of paparazzi high art to me where there's this photo of Chris, Kim, and Chloe all sitting in a row taking in this performance, and they're all dressed obviously in the collection but like in almost identical black spandex looks with big
Mhm.
black blackout sunglasses, and they're all sitting in black directors' chairs watching this, and all of them have their phones directly in front of their face filming the whole thing. And it
Oh,
just,
wow.
I think, well, my first thought was like, wow, these 3 women are all different ages and are all the same age.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
they are all kind of this indistinguishable, nebulous agelessness that they've
Yeah.
created. It's kind of incredible to see it all, like, side by side. And then
Mhm.
also, of course, seeing them, I immediately had a ways of seeing thought, uh,
Ooh, tell
be
me.
because I was just thinking about his John Berger's theories about, like, the male gaze and, like, the consumption of women being via that women can never fully, like, inhabit themselves or perceive themselves unless it's through an external party, and
Mhm.
the direct quote is, "Men dream of women, women dream of themselves being dreamt of." And
Mm.
I was just thinking about this family and their inability to, like, truly inhabit themselves or to live their life without it being mediated by some sort of screen and being, like, without, like, the even the invisible specter of, like, how they are being consumed by others is the
Mhm.
only way in which through which they can consume themselves. And it's both, like, the literal phone in front of their face. Well, because I was thinking about the need to film this moment at all for them. I'm like,
Like, it's being filmed,
it
probably
is
professionally.
5,000% being filmed. There are paparazzi there. I'm sure Skims had a professional team there filming it. I am sure they had their reality show team there filming it. And these are the most photographed, documented women on planet Earth. There's a huge swarm of crowds behind them filming the whole thing. They're going to tag them in it. And they have their phones glued in front of their faces. And it's like, oh, you can only perceive this as real as it's real on your
Mm.
screen to share with your followers, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, I was just really struck by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these are, like, such, like, dystopian but emblematic images that they're producing at this moment, and I can't remember the name of the book, but you know MJ Corey, who does Kardashian Colloquium?
Yes, love
I
her.
believe her book on the Kardashians is coming out.
It is, yeah. Deconstructing the Kardashians, I think is what it's
Deconstructing
called.
the
With a
Kardashians, and
K. Deconstructing with a K,
I feel
of
like a
course.
lot of these thoughts are gonna be really fleshed out
Yes.
in that book, which might be, like, a fun book club pick if we can get people
Definitely.
to care about the Kardashians. I know everyone's always mad at us for talking about
Totally.
them too much, but they're just so relevant.
MJ and I are internet friends too. I bet she would
Oh,
come and talk.
that would be
'Cause
so fun.
she's truly, an incredible mind. If people don't know Deconstructing the Kardashians, MJ Court, she's a she's the foremost, like, thinker
Mhm.
on that family, and
Yeah.
really a deep thinker, and really well-read in theory. Which actually relates to my final point of this section is, like, people are desperate to get me to stop talking about the Kardashians on every platform that I'm talking about, and it's like, I just think it's crazy, and it's like, why? It's clearly triggering to people, I
Yeah.
think is why they want me to stop. But people literally this week, I posted just some, like, ruminations on Kim's shapewear, like, probably exactly what I said on the podcast last month, and I talked about her, like, weird knee brace sandals and stuff, and there was all these comments that were like, "Don't waste your intellect on this family, like, don't waste your time and your thoughts," and it's like, I got a lot of them. Actually, like, the
Yeah.
limit does not exist on my thoughts and opinions, and, like, I can apply them to literally anything and anywhere that, like, sparks interest to me, and I don't understand, like, why it's worse to do it with the Kardashians than literally any other celebrity, except that they're kind of, like, celebrity laid bare. Like, what you don't
Yeah.
like about them is exactly how all celebrity functions. Like, your fave functions the same way, they're just better at hiding it. You know,
Mm.
they're, like,
Well,
less avaristic, like, they're just less flagrant with their love of
yeah.
being famous and rich.
Yeah.
But Taylor Swift operates in the same way the Kardashians operate, she's just better at hiding it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's, like, a real saturation that people wanna push back against where it's, like, not them again, but it's also I mean, I remember writing my Vice article about working for them and their
Mhm.
beauty brands and things like that, and going through and, like, tabulating how many followers they have across how
Yeah.
many social media platforms, and, I mean, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's important to talk about because a huge portion of the world's population is following them and paying
That's what I'm
attention
saying.
and, like, taking the lessons from them and incorporating them into their own lives, like, often years after the fact.
People
Um,
are acting like their
yeah.
hatred of them negates the fact that they are, like, the dominant force of pop culture for the last 15 years. Like,
Mhm,
to not examine them, to not talk about them, to me is insane. It's like
mhm.
pretending Walmart doesn't exist or Amazon doesn't exist.
Yes,
And it's like,
yeah,
"Oh, that will make Amazon go away, and that will fix all
yeah.
the problems we have in society is if we just ignore them." And also, like, me speaking about them isn't doesn't make them more popular. You know, like, I'm not
No.
bolstering their bottom line by, like, having a critical opinion and,
If
like,
anything, it
voicing
would
my
make them
thoughts about
less
them.
popular if people, were like, "You
Exactly.
know what? I'm gonna
If
stop
critically
following them.
engaged with what they're doing.
I'm gonna get the info from Emily when she."
Also, I personally think their family's on the decline right now, and I like
Mhm,
to watch
yes.
the fall of an empire.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
enjoy documenting, like, the decline of Rome, excuse
yeah.
me. I don't think there's anything wrong with I just think it's so fu the pushback I've gotten this week, like, the DMs, the comment, it's just,
Mhm.
like, has been so, to me, comically over the top. I'm like,
Yeah,
"You're acting like they" I don't know. Like, they're not important, like, they're not central to, like, American fame and, like, how it operates, like, they haven't been dominating beauty trends, dominating fashion
mhm.
trends, dominating our marketplace,
Yes.
and to me, there's no difference in talking about them than talking about Selena Gomez, than talking about Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
like, that's, my interests are varied and many.
Yes, these are the people influencing culture right now. I think it's fine and necessary to talk about them.
Yeah, I'll release people now from my Kardashian
Yeah,
monologue, but I
I think
just think it's
there's
very funny.
maybe no more Kardashian in the episode, so we
You're
can
all welcome.
you're free. But I do wanna talk about Pamela Anderson.
Please,
Um,
always.
okay, so I have never been more influenced in my life than when Pamela Anderson and Flamingo Estate teamed up to release, spicy dill pickles with rose.
She gotcha.
She got me, and I got 2 jars of $38 pickles,
And you got. Yeah.
and I got and it took me days to open the jars, actually. I finally had one yesterday. I finally tasted the rose
Wow. How
pickles.
did you finally get the jar open?
John.
Okay.
John did it. I
Alright.
needed a strong man to open
Yeah,
my Pamela Anderson pickles.
naturally.
Um, but anyway, yes, I just, you know, I love her. I love her memoir. I think the book Love Pamela is so good, and I think everyone should read it. I mean, she talks a lot in the book about regretting getting her breast implants and Botox, and like she admits to feeling pressured to like undergo cosmetic procedures that she didn't truly want for herself. And so when she sort of stopped wearing makeup after that book came out, I felt like, oh, this is just like a very authentic expression of the things that she has been like working through in her life for years now. And I really loved it.
And I think like how she lives her regular life anyway. Like, it's, you know, like it seems like she lives out in this remote island off Canada. Like she's a farmer, like she's in her garden all day working. Like it, to me, her stopping wearing makeup, I'm like, right, that's like how you're living that's like who you truly are. You're living your normal
Yes,
life that way. So
it
of
makes
course.
total sense to me. And I loved it. But I have to say, as you were saying before, capitalism absorbs
Finds a
all.
way. Yeah.
And I have been like frustrated because I love her so much about how I think people are really drawn to what this authentic statement that she was making about beauty and beauty standards and not wanting to use makeup products on her face anymore. And that authenticity was just like drawn and absorbed back into the capitalist market where it was kind of inherently this anti-capitalist, anti-modification stance. And now she's like partnered with Sanzi skincare. She's partnered with Biolage hair care. She has this thing for Flamingo Estate, which like I bought and I'm part of it. Like, you know, I love it, but it's also just kind of depressing to me. She's also the new ambassador for a supplement, a menopause supplement. But it's this brand called Array, and the supplement is called MB145 Plus, and it's a GLP-1 booster, apparently.
Okay.
So it's said to improve like menopause symptoms and regulate hormones. But yeah, I'm just kind of bummed about it. And the tagline for this numerical supplement from Array is "Life doesn't menopause," with like meno shut out, crossed out. Neither should you. And I'm just like, this is so like
Brilliant.
life does menopause. Like that's the point. That's the point. Like we're not stopping this with this supplement. I don't know, but
no,
yeah,
your life does stop when you get menopause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
over.
It's just kind of like, what message are we sending here? And yeah, I think it's just kind of an interesting example of like how she's capitalizing on her new image of her as like natural and carefree to sell like less visibly unnatural standards.
Yeah.
Like you don't see the skincare, you don't see the hair care the same way that you see makeup.
Yeah.
And it's like ultimately the same project to promote all of these products that are like anti-frizz or anti-wrinkle.
And if you want to be really cynical, the pickles are fermented gut health supplements.
Well,
it's all about
yes.
internal beauty, you know? It's
Yeah.
all about fixing your gut health, healing your microbiome. Also,
Right.
it just reminds me of what I think it was the last podcast where you're talking about Alicia Keys.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's the
Very
exact
Alicia
same
Keys.
thing because I remember I
Yeah.
was working at People magazine when Alicia stopped wearing makeup, and the outpour was very similar to what we're seeing from Pam now of people just being like, wow, like I'm loving seeing a natural beauty. I'm loving seeing her real freckles in her skin and, you know, a woman who's like pushing back against these beauty standards or whatever. And the way that likewise got completely co-opted until ultimately Alicia circled right back around and was like, actually.
It actually reminds me a lot of this book that I just read, and I did an interview with the author P.E. Moskowitz on my newsletter. But they write about how like everything with like radical potential gets just like reabsorbed into the system in order to neutralize any potential radical, you know, transcendence or awakening that might come from it. And yeah, I guess that happens just like across industries with everything, and we're seeing it with Pam right now.
Because capitalism is always going to find the angle to sell you things off the back of whatever it is. Even the anti-capitalists, like no shot movement or something, like they'll get in there. They'll figure out a way.
They always do.
They always do.
I guess sort of related, I want to also talk about Doja Cat's moment on the VMAs red carpet.
Would love to.
I know. I'm really excited to get your thoughts. So what really stuck out to me was, well, and stuck out to everybody else, obviously, was Doja Cat eating her MAC lipstick on the red carpet. Like, turns out to be a chocolate recreation of a lipstick, but it really did look like a lipstick. She ate it. She chewed it. She swallowed it. You don't think it I mean, I guess I didn't look that hard.
I thought it looked very fake, and that was one of my problems with it. I wanted it to be more realistic.
Oh,
I thought it looked
okay.
very much I knew immediately that it was not realistic, and I don't like that. I wanted to be
Oh,
fooled.
interesting.
I
Yeah,
wanted
you
I
know, you
wanted more
can't be
illusion.
fooled.
I have a
You're totally
discerning eye, though. I don't know how the general public felt, but I felt like if you looked at the lipstick for 1 second too long, you're like,
yeah,
"Oh, it's not
yeah.
real." Also,
The sim
well, I'll get into it, but also because it didn't smear or anything. There was no
right. I was
trace of it
looking
left
for her
behind.
teeth. I wanted her
Exactly.
teeth to be covered in red. That's
Thank
what I
you.
wanted.
Thank
Yes.
you. I wanted a mouthful of red. I want it smeared all
Uh-huh.
over her teeth, if not also all
Mhm.
over her face.
Her
I
face.
wanted her to spit it out at the end
Yes.
onto the
Oh
red
my
carpet.
gosh. Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted the full John Waters divine experience, and I got none of it. I'm
Doja
sorry.
has
You
to
can continue now.
She has to hire you. No, you're a genius, and that would've been so cool, but I think as is, the symbolism of it is so wild, and I think it
Yep.
says so much about the current state of beauty culture and where it's heading. So, like, to eat the lipstick is, like, incorporating it into her body. She's, like,
Mhm.
merging product and person.
Yeah.
And it made me think of, like, the iconic MAC lip color Espresso Yourself, and just,
Mhm.
like, how beauty has been this means of self-expression, but now it is one with the self. It is part of the self.
Mm.
There is no separation between self and performance through cosmetics.
In fact, it's nutrients.
Yeah, yeah.
Your body's processing it and using it
Yes.
for energy.
Exactly, like, it literally becomes you.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, this is glazed donut skin followed to
Mm.
its logical conclusion. This is, like,
Totally.
cosmetic cannibalism we've been talking about. It's, like,
Yes.
really the center of, like, objectifying people and also personifying objects.
Hmm.
And I thought it was really interesting that Nylon, after this, did an interview with Doja Cat and asked her if she would ever collaborate with MAC on an actually edible lipstick. And she was like, that's something in my dreams. In a perfect world, I want to make this a reality. I'd love to do that. And I mean, bleak, but
Why
also,
why is that something of her dreams? This is my problem with celebrity journalists sometimes, not to call out this person soon, but like when celebrities say stuff like that, like follow up.
yeah,
Ask the follow-up question. Why is
why?
that something of your dreams?
Hmm.
Why is that something you always want to do? Like I don't think they'll have a good answer, but I would love to hear them try and explain why that's a fantasy that they've long held
Hmm.
because it's not a normal fantasy, you
That
know?
is not a normal fantasy.
But also it's funny because for like eating the lipstick, my first thought was, like, some vague memory of a statistic about, like, how much lipstick women accidentally eat in a lifetime.
Yes. Okay. Can I tell you that I wanted to write about that? And I did all this research on it. Like,
Mhm.
I went to the FDA website and was researching all of that sort of, like, safety stuff,
Yeah.
and my initial reaction was like, I'm all for them creating an actually edible lipstick because I was like, in order to do that, you'd have to figure out how to make a lipstick without lead,
Mhm.
which no one has figured out how to do. Like, there's
Uh-huh.
trace amounts of lead in, according to the FDA website, like 99% of tested lip products.
Right.
And I think the like parts per million is like under 15 or under 20 or something.
Mhm.
Which, the Environmental Protection Agency says there's no safe amount of lead to ingest, but the FDA allows for like
FDA
this
is like,
threshold
just a little
because it's
bit.
like almost
Just a
impossible to get
taste.
lead out of these natural pigments, right?
A little
Um,
let for funsies,
and
you
so I was
know?
like, if this lipstick was edible, would they have to find a way to make lipstick without lead? Like maybe this is actually a great safety measure.
That's
but
exactly what I was thinking.
but no, you're allowed to have lead in food because I guess it is just very hard to not
It's just like a
have
trace contaminant or
lead and
something.
stuff. Yeah, and the threshold I think
Seems
for
crazy.
like fruits and vegetables is like 10 parts per million or something. So most lipsticks probably fall under that. But yeah, it is distressing to know that like different agencies say like,
Have
no,
different
this is
standards of lead.
completely unsafe, and then unfortunately we haven't figured out a way to get the lead out. So
But yes, that is exactly what I was thinking because I had some vague notion of like we women consume a lot of lipstick accidentally in their lives, and I
mhm.
did know about the lead stuff, and I assume there's also probably other chemicals in there that are like
Yeah,
not great that we are eating accidentally. And so
yeah,
was thinking like it's very funny for your dream to be making edible lipstick when we are eating lipstick
yeah.
already.
Mhm.
And
It's so
that's the
true.
problem. Like
Yeah.
we shouldn't be. I don't know.
Oh man.
But yeah, I found the performance unconvincing. I do love performance art on red carpets, and I don't know why celebrities don't do more of that. I will say that.
Yeah.
Because on that same VMA's red carpet, you get Summer Walker with her sugar daddy, and she's feeding him cotton candy that matches her
Mhm.
Pamela Anderson outfit to bring it back
Yes.
to Pam.
Yeah.
And I was like, iconic. That's exactly what
I
I
love
wanna see.
that.
Like, give me a little narrative, give me a little story, give me
Mhm.
something to, like, lock into, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, this was just a brand activation.
This was just this was very clearly just a brand activation,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But, like, invest a little more, make a real edible lipstick, at least a one-off, you know?
It would be fun. It would be interesting
At
to
least get
see.
some red dye. I know I mean, of course, I know they wouldn't as a beauty brand, they wouldn't allow her to look ugly on a red carpet, but
Right.
if you're eating lipstick, I want you to look a little fucked up afterwards, I'm so sorry.
I would have loved it.
A little clownish, a little
Mhm.
crazy even.
Mhm. Mhm.
Dunno.
Yeah. Take it farther.
Take it further. Um, Speaking of performance art,
Mhm.
I'm gonna bring up, a little trend I've been talking about on literally every platform available to me, and I don't care because I think it's so wild. And I think it's so wild. Like, of course, I've said a lot of weird things that have come to fruition over the years, but this one just came to fruition so quickly in such an extreme way that I kind of still don't believe that it's happening, which is my bodies on bodies trend.
Mhm.
Um, we've had a pretty wild month of, my predictions coming true on that front.
Wow.
Basically, since, like, 2022, I would say, we started seeing a trompe l'oeil trend in fashion that I've been tracking since then, and in 2022, it was much more like kind of trompe l'oeil as you're used to seeing it. I'm thinking, like, a pair of jeans photo printed on a white skirt, for example,
Mhm.
or that was the year that, Jean Paul Gaultier re-released all of those dresses, those sheer dresses that had, like, naked bodies photo printed on
Yes.
them
Yes.
that women were wearing, that type of stuff, and then so it was I don't know, I was noting it, and I thought it was interesting also, like, as a trend coming out of the pandemic, like, to have this kind of, like, fake presentation of the body
Mm.
in public, and it reminded me a lot of those masks people would wear, those joke masks people would wear where they'd have, like, the bottom of their face, like, photo printed on the
Right.
mask.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it felt like a weird sartorial, like, extension of these these silly face masks.
Mhm.
But then it kind of at the end of last year, we saw it reach, like, a weird or what I hoped at the time was, like, a weird new level, which is, like, an extension of my build a body trend, but it was specifically JoJo Siwa and Doechii were both photographed, for Lady Gun magazine and for Paper magazine
Yeah.
wearing, like, full faux muscle suits, like, male body muscle suits with, like JoJo obviously had, like, a complete cod piece, like, Doechii had a little mustache that went with it, and then even at the beginning of this year, I just thought of this, but we get that Duranland Tink runway show where they had the male model wearing a fake, breast chest
Yes.
piece, and then they had the
Yeah.
female model wearing a fake male chest piece, and everyone laughed at the male
Mhm.
model wearing boobs and not
Mhm.
at the female model wearing six-pack abs,
Mhm.
of course. Um, but yeah, so that's when I kind of really started pushing hard for, like, Arrested Development, George Michael style
Yes.
bodysuits, faux
Mhm.
plush bodysuits like you would wear at Halloween, and I thought like, "Oh, that's silly, that's not gonna happen." And then at the beginning of this month, I started thinking about the trend again, weirdly because of Matthew Gray Gubler, like,
I
he was
love
wea
him.
I
I
also
love
love him.
him. Like, dream man.
I think he's a lot of people's dream man.
I know.
But he was wearing these shoes that, like, weren't unusual. I mean, I'm not sure if they were Schiaparelli or if they were just Schiaparelli inspired, but, like, we've certainly seen this a bunch of times with, like, the fake gold toes, you know, kind of like,
Mhm.
the metal sculptural toes, like, plopped on top of the regular shoe. And I don't know, there were just something about his that, like, it looked a little eerily real. Like, it
Mhm.
looked a little I said it in my newsletter, like, but it looked a little Dunice from, Saturday Night Live with the lady with, like, Kristen Wiig when
Yes.
she has tiny little hands.
Yeah.
There's something where I was like, "Oh, like, that might actually be what your feet look like." Anyway, and I
Love
was like,
that.
I like that feeling of being, like it's, like,
Mhm.
uncertainty of, like, where you're like, "Oh, that looks off," but, like, is it off? Like, or is that really
Yeah.
what I'm looking at? And so then shortly after that, we get Joe Jonas wearing, a tank top with a mock turtleneck, which I think is honestly the most distressing part of the whole I don't understand the mock turtleneck part of it, but it's a tank top featuring, like, a hyper realistic, like, photo printed of his what looks like his own body. Like, I think that it's a
So
fake
fun.
body, like, I think it's a fake muscle suit, but, like, he is literally that ripped already. So it
Right.
ends up just coming off as like he took a picture of his own torso and then printed it out on a tank top and wore his torso atop his torso, and
Mhm.
that's exactly what I'm interested in.
Mhm.
That to
Mhm.
me is like the simulacrum, the uncanny, the like real
Yes.
atop of real that is like art modernity to me. Like that's what's super interesting. And then shortly after that, we also get Nelly Furtado. This one is much more cartoonish, but I just given the context in which it was worn, I think it's very interesting. Is Nelly Furtado wore this kind of like Jersey Shore style boardwalk
Mhm.
airbrush bikini body t-shirt that it's a t-shirt and then it has a bikini body, but of her own body from 20 years ago because
Oh,
she's on tour right now and she was
right.
getting all this like crazy weird pushback from like fans and the press about like looking different, like
Mhm.
having a different body 20 years later,
Mhm.
which is like very normal. She's not a she's not trying to be a young
Yeah.
pop star
Like,
anymore and like, "Oh my god,
your body will be different in 20 years too,
how dare
commenters.
you?"
Like
Yeah. Outrageous. Anyway, so I thought it was very interesting that in the face of all of that kind of like that commentary on her body to wear like a hyper fake version of her old real body on top of this body,
Yeah.
like, is this what you want? Like serving it back to the people.
Mhm.
That's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'll give you the body you want under this like weird fake caricature circumstances. I thought that was very
Right.
interesting and kind of like a powerful statement, whether she intended it or not. Um,
Yeah, it feels like a protest, sort of, like
yes, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And then so because of all this stuff, I didn't start like joking around about like where I wanted this to go, which was like in a very like hyper real body horror dimension. Like my joke was like strapping mannequin body parts on top of your real body part, like creating
Mhm.
like even more of like kind of a 3D body that is your
Yeah.
body but not of your body.
Mhm.
Um I was just what is that movie? Like Body Snatchers maybe? Like you know, it's like almost like an
Yeah.
alien invasion type of situation where
Mhm.
it's like it's you but it's not you. Like,
Mhm.
that's very much what I would like to see.
Doppelganger type?
Doppelganger type stuff for sure. And specifically, I made this reference and I keep asking people no one can give me a definitive answer. I keep asking people like, "Is this a weird reference that only I know, or do all people of our generation know this?" Which is there were when we were young, in, like, the early aughts, there was this story that now that I've Googled it as an adult, I am now learning was an urban legend and it was not real, but at the time, I swear to God, everyone told it like a real story. I do believe they were, like, on Maury telling this as, like, a real story, which were these twin brothers, and they were into extreme body modification, and so that was always their story, and they would, like, go on Jerry Springer and stuff, and they're into extreme body mod, and they had, like, all this weird, like, you know, gauges in their ears and all these crazy tattoos, and then their new evolution of that was that they claimed that one twin had amputated his arm and the other one had gotten that arm sewed onto his chest, and that his body didn't reject the like grafted on arm because they were identical twins. And then
Oh.
the other twin who got his arm amputated off got the other twins like I think the first two knuckles of one of his ring finger and got it attached onto the end of his ringer finger so he had one extra long finger. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not know what you're
I feel
talking
like
about,
an
but I want to know
absolute
what you're
I
talking
know,
about.
I feel like such an insane person for, like, knowing about this and thinking about this, but I swear someone out there will remember what I'm talking about, and if you Google it and you see the pictures, I feel like it will jog your memory, because this was, like, a powerful cultural, like, freak
Right.
touchstone thing of the early aughts. Anyway, turns out it was fake.
Yeah, I'm trying
It's
to
an urban
imagine a
legend.
doctor who would, like, perform these
Exactly.
surgeries ethically,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, they claimed it was, like, a backroom thing, and they gave him a bunch of money in cash and blah, blah, blah. They had a whole story for it. But anyway, they loom large in my imagination because those pictures are burned in my brain and I will never forget them. And so I started joking around like that's the realm that this like trompe l'oeil stuff should go like true body horror, like
Mhm.
uncanny, like adding on body parts, expanding. And then what happens at the VMAs? A
I was
musician
just gonna
named Jay
say.
Hart, a musician named Jay Hart shows up with four arms.
Incredible.
Very, very weird. Very, very specific.
So weird. So
Um,
meth.
Basically, he's wearing, like, a long trench coat, and he has 2 fake arms that are underneath his real arms that are they look like they're kind of holding onto the lapel of the like, he's
Mhm.
posing. They look like he's posing, and they're holding on to and then the arms his real arms are on top of it, you know, doing various poses. And
Yeah.
it's just so strange. And I didn't see a single person on the internet talk about it but me. And I don't
Just seems
understand why. I think it's so crazy. It's wild to see. And it fits perfectly into this weird trajectory we've been seeing in fashion. And I already thought that was nuts. And then right off the back of it, I think maybe literally the next day or that night even, I started getting
mhm.
tagged in GQ's latest cover with Glenn Powell,
I
where he
thought
is
of you
wearing
immediately.
how could you not?
Immediately.
Because it's exactly what I'm talking
I
about.
mean, yes, yes.
He's wearing, like, monstrous faux bodybuilder legs, just the bottom half, though.
Mhm. Yes.
Incredible. Incredible.
Really incredible.
So bizarre, and I love it, although I will my one note to GQ is it really drives me crazy that the fake belly button and the real belly button don't line up, and so he has a double belly button, and I think that's annoying, but otherwise phenomenal. And
Mhm.
I just I don't know. I don't really have, like, a conclusion for, like, what this trend mean I just think it's so like, we're become so like, the body is boring almost, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, we've done nudity, we've seen labia on the red carpet, like, when there's nowhere for
Mhm.
us to go except into, like, the fantasy realm of, like, what our bodies could be or it also kind of speaks to, like, futurism almost where it's like,
Yeah.
what will humans evolve into, like,
Mhm.
bigger eyes, small
Well,
mouths? I don't know.
it kind of reminds me of something that I was gonna call out later in my New York Fashion Week trend roundup.
Yeah, please.
I don't know, did you see the Colina Strada runway where they had hats that were made out of
Yes.
human hair?
Yes.
Um, and my thought on that was just like, it's interesting, it's really strange, like, the point of hair is to cover the head, so in some
Mhm.
way, this hat made out of the same looking hair is fulfilling like, the hair is still fulfilling its purpose, but in a
Yeah.
weird way, but what it reminded me of was, like, the image of it looked like a ChatGPT prompt gone wrong, which is what I could
Interesting.
say about a lot of these, like,
Totally.
extra limb things, like, it's kind
Totally.
of
Interesting.
ChatGPT finger extra finger, weird
Yeah.
leg. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but
Now that you say about those hair hats, also just kind of interesting to think, like, is a wig not a hair hat? You know what I mean?
right.
Like, where is the line between a wig and a hat made
Mhm.
of hair? I don't know.
Oh, that's so true. I
Something
get
to
yeah.
ruminate upon, I suppose.
Mhm.
But also you reminded me, at the Loire Runway show, he makes these sunglasses that I'm obsessed with that I always call anime eye sunglasses because
Yeah.
they're a frame on top of a frame, and the frame underneath ends up making the wearer look like they have these huge cartoonish, like, Powerpuff Girl eyes, and I
Mhm.
always think it's so striking, like, Madonna's worn them, Demi Lovato also just wore them at this fashion week. Anyway, I don't know, I always think about all these cosmetic plastic surgeries do and the blepharoplasties and, like, we are trying to make our eyes look bigger, and, like, what if I don't know, pushing them to this insane cartoonish proportion where they're taking up
Mhm.
literally half your head, doesn't it feel like we're kind of trying to get there?
I love that analysis.
Thank you.
I hadn't thought about it in that way, but I do think it's related to, like, the eye lift and the bleph
Well,
and
everything's
all
getting,
of
like,
this.
bigger and, like, the mouth has to be bigger, the cheekbones have to be sharper, the jawline more pronounced, and, like, the eyes are kind of the one thing we can't really fuck with like that,
Yeah,
just for
unless you
through
wanna change their color,
well, unless you wanna
of
change their
course,
color,
yeah.
but I just mean, like, the size, like, the
Yeah.
size of your eyes beyond blepharoplasty, like, actually taking away part of your eyelid, but even there, it's like,
Mhm.
it's still limited to how much eyelid you can take away,
Mhm,
you can't
mhm.
really, like, make them take up more space on your face, but,
Yeah.
like, I'm sure that people do kinda want that, some people might want
Now that
that.
you're saying this, like, oh my god, it ties into so many of the beauty trends that I saw at
Let's
New
do it.
York Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week.
Yeah,
Like,
let's get
there's
into them.
so much tie in here, I can't even believe it. Okay, so I'll start with, mannequin skin. So, mannequin skin, Women's Wear Daily reports, is the new iteration of the glass skin aesthetic. So it's like porcelain doll skin, but really mattified.
Okay.
And like this term was coined by Mac, and it was created for the Wiederhof New York Fashion Week runway show by makeup artist Sharon Hinchcliffe. And actually, ironically, Hinchcliffe told Women's Wear Daily that the look keeps the focus on real skin, which is just like such a funny thing to say when the look like demands MAC Studio Fix
Right.
foundation to be covering you completely.
We're literally
Um,
titled after fake skin.
right, exactly. So it's just like a really matte, textureless, like no variation in tone, like one
Baby.
note kind of look. Yeah, we saw similar skin at I would say like Calvin Klein, Grace Ling, Sandy Leung, and then also a lot of doll-like lashes.
Mm.
And just what you were saying there, a lot of the doll-like lashes were like the lashes were kind of glued underneath the eye line to make the eye appear bigger.
Also
Um,
very, they kinda ripped Marc Jacobs on that
Very
one,
Marc
huh?
Jacobs, very just like 60s twiggy. We saw it at
Sure.
Chipova Luena. Is that how you say?
Mhm,
Chipova Luena?
mhm.
Um, and then I have not heard of this designer Bora Aksu,
No, I'm not familiar with that
but
one.
the Bora Aksu runway show featured something they're calling China doll hair.
Oh,
So the hairstylist for that runway show, yeah, Larry King, which is I just keep picturing
that's
Larry King, like, being a
incredible.
hairstylist.
Oh
I
my
know.
god. I
But
love that.
I know. He said the inspiration for this collection was rooted in, like, quote, classic China dolls with their porcelain faces, delicately painted lips, and beautifully curled hair. So this, like, doll, mannequin, automata object aesthetic is really still informing what's happening on the runways, and I think there's, like, a
Wow.
lot to be said, and there's a lot that has been said about this doll-like aesthetic and how it's become popular at, like, this particularly, I would say, infantilizing moment of American history,
We got
and
a
then
whole
also just, like
adult babies out there.
I know, and, also, like, just straight up objectification, like,
Yeah,
turning the person into a doll
and stripping
is
of women's rights, like, as though we're
yes, like,
children who
the
can't make decisions over our own bodies.
it's so completely, on the nose,
Yep.
but then I was also trying to think of this as maybe an aesthetic of lifelessness, and
Hmm.
what does that say about, like, how we feel about the conditions of the world that make living feel, like, sort of unbearable? Like,
Yeah.
this might be some sort of, like, very ineffective, but protest against a life that feels lifeless?
Or, like, almost aspirational, like, life would be easier if I was just a doll.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
completely.
if
I mean,
others were
that's
just, like,
I'm
manipulating
just
me
a
and moving me
girl.
right, I'm just a
Yeah,
girl.
I'm just a
Like,
girl to
life
the
is
next
too hard,
level.
so if I can just be this inanimate, perfect
Yeah,
object that's, like, beautiful, and just serve my little
yeah,
function of beauty, wouldn't that
completely.
be the dream?
Mhm.
Wow. Also, as someone with automatonophobia, let me tell you, this is my fucking nightmare.
I can only imagine.
Did I tell you I think my phobia is getting worse?
You did, and I think it's because of the beauty industry, like, I think you
Thank
need to
you,
blame it on the
I'll
beauty
take that.
industry.
I'll take that, I'll blame blame 'em.
Automatar everywhere. Sort of related, another I guess you could call it trend, although I don't know that I would call it trend as just, like, the state of skin today is, mhm,
I just also wanna say, like, I also just think it's funny for these trends are coming from cosmetic companies who did the
right,
makeup. I think that's
right.
so funny for this to say, like, MAC Cosmetics cited this trend. It's like, well, MAC Cosmetics invented.
Made this trend, yeah.
MAC Cosmetics looked at what they were already doing, and then they're like, "How can we package this into a marketable buzzword that the everyone will write about and
Yes.
proliferate across the internet?"
And, like, when I was looking at the runway shows and trying to see, okay, what's happening, what's the same, it really reminded me of our little field trip to High Valley, which is this magazine archive place in New York that's incredible, but we were looking through, like, decades of magazines, and all of them had, like, trend reports from the runway, and it was
Uh-huh.
just, like, every year, every season for the past 30 years has been the same. It's like dark eyeliner's trending, berry lips are trending,
Can you
side parts are
believe?
trending. And yeah, it was just like, "Oh, okay. Nothing is ever
Nothing
trending. This
is
is just
new.
like these are just basic beauty things that people have been doing for years."
Also, like, totally a side note, but I was also struck by just how little magazines have changed. Like, just the
Mhm,
format, like, the way things are
mhm.
laid out, the way they talk to women, like, just the packaging of different idea it's all exactly what we're doing today, and then it drives me insane that we're having this conversation about, like, why are publications dying? Why are magazines why does no one wanna read
Right.
them? And it's like, well, you're doing the same thing that I'm
Yeah.
looking at a magazine from 1972, and it's exactly the same content.
Yeah.
So maybe start there. Maybe
Yeah.
speak to a modern audience.
Innovation.
Yeah, maybe innovate a little, change up how you
Yeah.
do things, I don't know, crazy thought.
I know. It was like same format, same trends, like same directives. Yeah, pretty bleak. But
Anyway.
so anyway, something that can't necessarily be called a trend, but it's just like what skin looks like now.
Yeah.
Also in the Women's Wear Daily article about New York Fashion Week trends was AI skin,
You've been on
which
that one.
I've been on forever. I'm
Yeah.
gonna call it Simulacra Skin, actually.
Gorgeous.
So there was a makeup artist that was quoted in the article who said his name was Romero Jennings. He said he created a futuristic, filtered-looking complexion for Kim Shui. And he said, because of AI, everyone's obsessed with skin. And again,
Oh,
it's like,
I didn't
no,
realize.
because of AI, everyone's obsessed with products that make your skin look like a screen. Like, that's not skin.
Drawing that
And
connection is so wild.
I
AI,
know.
skin. They
Mhm.
go hand in hand and everybody knows
Of
it.
course. But yeah, we saw this like sort of hyper perfection across a ton of runway shows. Um, and yeah, it's kind of like skin that looks like a digital simulation of skin, which people now prefer to real skin, which makes it
Yeah.
like this hyper real aesthetic or a simulacra. So, in the parlance of Baudrillard, I would say simulacra skin is where we're at.
Well, it feels like almost if Instagram face come to like it feels like
Mhm.
Facetune come to life, like that you can
Yeah,
take with you.
completely. It's
Which is also very Kardashian, I have to say.
very
Is like
Kardashian.
building a face that's only meant to be consumed digitally. I don't
Mhm.
know. Very interesting.
Yeah, and then okay, so sort of related to that, but also like the complete opposite, dirt. Dirt was all over faces on the runways.
Oh boy.
So, okay, you might have to help me with pronunciation for this one.
Findicolo.
Dilara
It's
Findicolu.
simpler than you think it
I
looks, yeah.
know.
It's
Okay, Dilara
Findicolo.
Findicolu had the models' faces covered in patches of mud,
Mhm.
and British Vogue explained this as, quote, "to represent innocent figures breaking free from rigid societal gender norms."
Excuse me?
So, yeah, lots of mud on the face to
I didn't know
represent
dirt was a gender norm.
well, it's kinda like tomboys, I guess, you know?
Oh, tough
Yeah.
girls. Gotcha.
Mhm. And then at Labubu, models' faces were pressed with, like, colored sand.
Okay.
And then at Demetria Petsa, models' faces and bodies were brushed with clay, like drying clay.
Hmm.
And so what it brought up for me with was like Earth is a luxury in the age of climate change and in the age of AI.
Yeah.
So it's like this very earthy textural thing, but what's also kind of like distressing to me is that we're incorporating this texture of the dirt, of the earth, of the clay, but in a way that allows for the complete elimination of human skin texture.
Yeah.
So it's like perfect skin, removing texture via cosmetic intervention and then adding dirt, clay, sand on top of this textureless skin.
That to me is beauty. Like, that to me makes
Yeah.
perfect sense because it's always about, like, well, you have to, like, eradicate it and then add it back in, right? Like, you are
Mhm.
naturally
Yes.
everyone kind of has a flush to their face. It's like, no,
Mhm.
you have to block it out with foundation and then
Yes.
artificially put the blush back on top. Like, oh, you
Mhm.
naturally have freckles? That's nice. Cover it with foundation and then
And then
draw
put
them
fake
back on.
fake on.
So to me, it's like, of course, you wanna remove all the texture from the skin and
Yeah.
then add a faux texture back on top of it because that's
Mhm.
glamour.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Yeah.
also very funny well, 2 things that immediately made me think of is one, a couple of years ago, I wrote this thing for InStyle Australia, which was they, like, asked me for some trend predictions for the year to come, and one of them again, I'm always kinda kidding, but and then somehow it's, like, comes to reality, but one of them we were talking about, like, the wet look, like, everybody was sopping
Mm.
wet at the time, like,
Mhm.
clothes were wet, people's hair was wet, people's skin was wet, and I was saying, like, "Yeah, well, water is a luxury." And
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a planet that's increasingly heating up, water is gonna become a resource that only the wealthy have access to. So, of
Mhm.
course, being wet is a luxury symbol because you have access to surplus moisture on a dry
Completely.
planet. And now here, I don't know, it's a similar thing where it's like, yeah, Earth is a luxury, like, we are killing it.
Mhm.
And so, like, only yeah, it's glamorous somehow to, like,
Yeah.
reincorporate into your outfit. And then also it made me think of I was talking about this recently in my newsletter, which is that the my favorite part of the of the Venice Film Festival was, like, it rained a lot one day, and so it kinda got flooded, and all of these celebrities' gowns, the bottom of them got totally soaked, and so they were walking
Oh,
the red
yeah.
carpet with these, like, dirty, wet, like, hems to these gorgeous,
Mhm.
like, multi-thousand-dollar gowns, and I was like, "That's the most interested I've been in a dress in so long," because there's something that feels real about like, it feels like they actually wore these through the street. Like, it is a lived-in garment.
Yeah, or, like, humanizing.
Yes, it's very humanizing, but there's also something, like, to me, the red carpet, right, is about getting press. Expensive outfits are about getting press, and so you have to create a story, and often those celebrity stories to me are very boring. They're like, "Oh,
Mm,
like Elizabeth Hurley wore this in the '80s, and now I'm
yeah.
re-wearing it again." You know, like, they have to
Mhm.
create a narrative because there's no reason for the media to just talk about a dress, right? That's nudity. That's why the nudity trend take off. That's a reason to
Right,
talk
right,
about
right.
the outfit, right? That you wouldn't talk about otherwise. And so to me, you're always story crafting on a red carpet. And what is more story crafting than being like, I tromped through mud and puddles
Yeah,
to get here? Like, I overcame
yes.
adversity and now here I am at this glamorous event with my
Right.
destroyed gown, and who cares? Like, devil may
Mhm.
care, you know?
Yeah, it's like Kate Moss at Glastonbury for the red carpet.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. And it was making me think of that Balenciaga show that Kanye walked in,
Yeah.
where it was just a mud pit and all the models
Mhm.
had to drag, and their outfits were getting heavier and heavier as they walked through the mud.
Mhm.
And mud as luxury, I guess.
Mud as luxury. It's happening. It's happening. Okay, the most delightful trend to me
Please.
was what I'm calling "Whatever Happened to Baby Jane" makeup. Have you seen Whatever Happened to Baby Jane?
I have, yeah.
I haven't seen it in years, but yeah, so there are a lot of looks that were very reminiscent of Betty Davis in that movie, which is kind of like she's an aging woman clinging to this, like, girlish aesthetic, like, her makeup is kind of painted on with shaky hands,
Mhm.
so we saw, like, very high drawn-on eyebrows, sort of, like, shaky, imperfect makeup, a lot of powder, a lot of powdered shadow, all the way up to, like, the fake brow
Mhm.
drawn on. This was at Ashish and also at Batsheva. Weren't you there?
No.
Were you at no? Who was at the Bathsheba show? Somebody
Not
I know
not
was there.
I.
Yeah, okay. But, so yeah, the look was, like, kind of, like, cinematic in this sort of
Mhm.
crumbling way, and even at Bathsheba, they drew oversized, like, cartoonish moles on the models, like,
Hmm.
really big, and that's very Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. So
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I kind of loved
Also,
it.
I don't remember why I was talking about this last month, but I was talking about Sunset Boulevard,
Yes, yeah.
and this is also very Sunset Boulevard. I mean, because though
Mhm.
even the makeup style you're describing is very silent film star as
Yeah.
well, and Sunset Boulevard is similarly like an aging woman clinging to her youth,
Mhm.
like, to the point of psychosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, trying to relive her glory days of her youth and return to this time she can't return to, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it was, like, the thing that made me feel like, "Oh, this is fun," the most
Yeah.
out of all of the things I saw. The other thing that I saw was statement lips at
Okay.
Simone Rocha. She, like, literally had the words "sweet dream" written on models' lips in red lipstick, and it reminded me of, like, an inverted inner lip tattoo, you know, which I thought was
Kim
like,
Kardashian just flashed hers on,
"Really? What does
yeah,
she have?"
an infinity symbol on her inner lip. It's very thrilling, I
Okay.
know.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
But
I'll
yeah,
stop
I
bringing
thought
it
this
back
was
to
like
them.
a fun evolution of the fake tattoo trend that we've talked
Yeah,
about before.
interesting.
And then another one was Pepto Pink lipstick. Bathsheba, Connor Ives, lots of just like pastel Pepto-y, like not
Very 60s.
pretty.
Huh, like chalky?
Yeah, yeah. Um, and this is just like my own broken brain talking, but it feels like the beauty evolution of like hot girls have IBS. It's like hot girls
Oh,
took
yeah.
Pepto, you know? I love it
Absolutely.
smeared all over the
I see
face.
that. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about I'm still thinking about the Baby Jane makeup.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was just thinking when we were talking about, like, these women who wanna return to girlishness or silent film times and during the time
Mhm.
I was also just thinking about, like, us as a society, like, as we're going into this, like, new technological age that seems unstoppable and everyone's kinda like, "Hey, we don't want this." You know what I mean? Like, we're sliding into this AI future that everyone seems, like,
Yeah.
really scared and hesitant of, like, with legitimate concerns that no one's addressing or dealing with, and all of us trying to kinda be like, "Whoa," like, pump the brakes and, like, go back to this time that actually doesn't exist anymore, like,
Yeah.
AI is already fully embedded in our society, like,
Right.
it's in our Google search, like, we're literally not gonna get rid of it, we're not gonna go back, but all of
Mhm.
us are kind of trying to, like even us
Mhm.
launching a book club, right, like, is kind of trying to, like,
Yeah.
harken back to a a technology that people aren't reading, like that we're rapidly moving away from. I don't know. I'm sorry.
That's
I'll
so
let it go
true.
now. But
No, I mean, it even reminds me, like, as you're talking about that, of just the big resurgence of, like, early 2000s Y2K aesthetics. Like, I think that was a time when the internet felt fun and
yeah,
freeing and, like,
yeah,
playful in a way that it
totally.
doesn't necessarily feel now. And that feels like an idealized time of, like, we can have this technology and it can be, like, cool, or at least feel a little bit better or less
A
all-consuming. Of
little
course, there are
better.
plenty of, issues that technology created in that time, but
Totally, but also a time of more, like, physical media and more,
yeah.
like, people being the creators of that physical media perhaps being, like, properly, paid for their work. I'm thinking about, like,
Yeah.
streaming music and stuff, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
but a touch before pirating was, the norm, and streaming TV was the norm, and kind of
Mhm.
everything that starts to corrupt the internet the way we think about it today. I don't know, interesting.
Totally. And then the last trend that I wanted to bring up, which reminded me of you and reminded me of me, honestly, was
Reminded me of us.
reminded me of us, was the Calvin Klein sunglasses, where the
Absolutely.
top of the sunglasses is like a recreation of the underwear band.
When you showed this to me, I truly lost my mind in public. I had not seen it before Jess brought up a photo. I can't believe these are real. They're so funny.
They're so funny, and it really strikes me as, like, this perfect mashup of what you've been talking about with, like, diaper chic, like, everyone wearing diapers, like, this is, like, underwear on your head, and also,
I was literally just thinking, you're a butthead.
you're a butthead. Yes,
You're literally
yes.
a butthead. You're making yourself a butthead.
I love that. Yes.
Because where your face is where the cheeks would go.
Oh my gosh. Cheeks on cheeks.
Cheeks on cheeks, bodies on bodies.
Incredible. Yes, cheeks on cheeks, bodies on bodies, and, a little bit of a nod to the thriving butthole beauty space. We've got
Absolutely.
so many new products launching to take care of the butthole constantly.
But when are we
Um,
gonna see the butthole? You know what I mean? Like,
it's
we're
coming,
investing all of
Emily.
this time and money into beautifying our buttholes, but I'm not seeing any buttholes out there.
Mhm.
And we already saw the vagina.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let's turn it around. I shouldn't
Mhm.
have said that, because now that I said that,
Now
we
it's gonna
are gonna
manifest.
see
Yeah.
bare butthole on the red carpet. I'm so sorry, everyone. But I do think it would be funny.
Personally, I'm excited.
Me too.
But yeah, that is my little fashion month so far beauty recap.
Love it.
Should we do the mess of the month?
Let's do it.
Tell me. Tell me yours.
Well, okay, so my mess of the month came from a reader at our book club party, and this did technically take place in July, but it's a photo that went viral on social media in July, but it was such a good suggestion, I had to just take it. Thank you to that reader. I completely forget your name. I'm so sorry. But their suggestion was the Labubu on Karl Marx's grave is the mess of the month. And I think that's gorgeous. I love that. I think that's so, so funny.
It's something.
It's definitely something. For those that don't know, Karl Marx is buried in London's Highgate Cemetery. And yeah, someone took a photo of his grave and shared it on Twitter, I believe. And someone had left. So people leave, at all famous graves, people leave little like tokens and mementos and whatever. So there were like flowers and there were letters. And then amidst all of that, there was a Labubu. And people just pointed out that like there is probably nothing on this planet Karl Marx would have hated more than a Labubu and everything about it and the phenomenon around it. And I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty good assessment. Someone was pondering if this is peak if a Labubu is peak commodity fetishism.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's an interesting
Pretty
question.
close. Yeah.
It's pretty close. I just want to say for people who maybe aren't brushed up on their commodity fetishism, basically it's the state capitalism creates this situation where it presents the economic value of an object as inherent to the commodity itself. Like a Birkin is worth $20,000 because it's a Birkin. Instead of like a Birkin is worth $20,000 because the price of leather is this, the price of labor is this, someone worked on it for X amount of hours. Like it
Mhm.
obfuscates all of the real humanity and real labor
Right.
invested into the
Mhm.
creation of that product. And that's an intentional, capitalism does that intentionally to
Yeah.
divorce labor from
Yeah.
consumption.
Yes.
And yeah, Labubu is pretty fucking divorced from labor. What you were paying for Labubu is definitely not
How much are
intrinsic.
people paying for Labubus? I don't even know. Are these expensive?
Well, They can be. They certainly can be. I think in the resale market, you're looking at like $100. But I
Oh,
think the normal price, I mean, well, we're in the world of Lafufus, if you're familiar.
I am familiar with a Lafufu. Yes.
For
Yes.
those who aren't, it's just a fake Labubu. But in a world of Lafufus, you could get them for like $10. You could get a Lafufu for 10, I would say.
Okay.
I think the normal price that you pay at like a Pop Mart is 20 or $30, which is
Okay.
still very high for a keychain of a
Yeah,
stuffed
that's
animal, I would say.
mhm.
And definitely not what it costs to make, I'll tell you that. But yeah, the resale market can be 100. And then there was this lady who went viral on TikTok. Maybe you saw her. She promptly got canceled. But she had a bit that she was doing where she was like, "This is I can't remember the exact price she's saying. It was like 100,000 or like $1 million Labubu because she claimed that it was like gold plated. She had just like spray painted a Labubu gold, and she was claiming that she owned the one and only limited edition solid gold $1 million Labubu. Anyway, so it could be
Why
any price. It can be any price you want it to be, I guess is my
why
point.
be canceled for that? That's
She
so
wasn't
funny and okay.
she wasn't canceled for the gold Labubu.
Okay,
She
okay,
was
okay.
canceled for the blackface Labubu she made after
Oh,
it.
I saw that. That okay.
She
Okay.
didn't realize it was offensive. She wanted it to look like KSI. For people who don't know who KSI is, he's like a massive YouTuber from the UK and like aspiring, I'm going to say aspiring rapper. He is really rapping, but it's very unfortunate. He's kind of he partnered with Logan Paul, so I kind of think of him as the
Okay.
Logan Paul, the British Logan Paul in my brain. Anyway, her plan I didn't mean to get into this lady, but her
Sorry.
plan it's okay. Her plan was that she was going to make after because you can only run the $1 million Labubu gimmick for so long, right before it kind of
Mhm,
loses its
mhm.
steam. So her next gimmick was going to be she was going to keep making different Labubus that like looked like different famous British figures. And for some reason, she started with KSI, and she made like a very racist blackface Labubu.
That's
And everyone's like, "You did
horrible.
not need to do that to like make it
Yeah,
look like KSI," but
unnecessary.
very unnecessary. Anyway, that's why she got
Wow.
canceled. Not for the gold
Okay.
Labubu. That everyone loves that. There's nothing cancelable about $1 million Labubu.
Okay. Okay, good.
Karl Marx would love that Labubu.
Mhm. I think you are right though that Labubu Next has to make a Marks Labubu.
It kind of feels inevitable at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like that's got to be what we're cruising for.
Yeah. My mess of the month is ear seeding for cortisol face. Have you
Great.
seen this?
No, I've seen
Okay.
each separately, but I haven't. I've seen each trend separately, but I haven't seen them
Mhm.
combined into one monster event.
So my mess is not ear seeding for cortisol face itself,
Okay.
but rather the reaction to this article. It was a Harper's Bazaar article that asked like, is ear seeding the solution to cortisol face?
Okay.
And for some reason, this headline and image together went viral. It was like on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. People were like, this is insane. Beauty culture is insane. Which,
Hmm.
like, yes, it is.
Yeah, of
But
course. Like,
yeah,
why
of
now?
course. But I'm like, why did ear seeding for cortisol why is that what triggered this outpouring? Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little commotion for like 35-year-old facelifts or just
Yeah.
consumerism in general. Like some of the actually harmful aesthetics and products that are out there. Like, I know ear seeding for cortisol face sounds silly, but if you break it down, ear seeding is like comes from traditional Chinese medicine. It's just acupressure points in the ear
Right.
to potentially like soothe other ailments throughout the body. And cortisol face is just like cortisol is a stress hormone. If you have high levels of
Yeah.
your stress hormone, which a lot of us do, there can be physical signs that your stress is
It's also
high.
like a very trendy self-diagnosis thing at the moment.
Yes,
I see on
completely.
TikTok all over the place. But yeah, I was thinking as like ear seeding is ultimately just like putting a sticker on your ear. So
Yeah,
like
there's
of
like
all the
not really a
harmful things
product.
beauty can do, like this seems
Yeah.
like kind of one of the more benign. Like even if it did nothing, isn't it kind of benign to just put a sticker on your ear?
Yeah. Yes. It's like it's so benign and I know it sounds silly if you
Yeah.
don't know what those terms mean, but there are so many like worse things to get worked up about in the beauty industry that I don't understand why people are really coming for this when actually like almost no products are involved in what ear seeding for
Yeah.
cortisol face would be. It would be like touching a pressure point in your ear to like calm your parasympathetic nervous system, which is fine. Like,
well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
I don't know. I notice this often too with like celebrity stuff and celebrity scandals and stuff, and like what people choose to like get really worked up over and what
Mhm.
they choose to just like let them pass them by. And often, I don't know, my thought about it in the celebrity space, and I think it kind of applies here, is that like what we go after culturally is like low-hanging fruit that ultimately, like, doesn't affect
Yes.
anything and doesn't
Right.
actually require us to change anything about our thinking or our consumptive patterns or how
Mhm.
we're living our
Mhm.
life, but it allows us to feel this
Yes.
rightful moral outrage in an industry for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you get to
Completely. That's
rage
it.
about
That's it.
stickers and cortisol face and how media advertises things to you that are unnecessary without actually addressing the real problems
Yeah.
of that.
Completely. That's completely what it is. And also, so much of that sort of outrage, I think, is often directed at like healing techniques that are considered to be woo woo, but are actually like centuries old, come from like Eastern medicine, like ear seeding has roots in traditional Chinese medicine. I'm also thinking of people who get really worked up about like gua sha and they're like, you're
Yeah.
so stupid to rub a stone on your face and think that will help with anything. And it's like, okay, well, this is actually something that's been used for centuries for like health purposes beyond aesthetic purposes. I remember I
Yes.
interviewed a plastic surgeon once who was, like, really going after, um, facial massage tools, and he
Mhm.
was like, "These things are, like, $60 a piece. You're gonna pay $60 for this stone." I was like, "Sir, people give you $100,000 for a facelift." Like,
And people pay
it's
$60 for,
insane.
like, a cleanser, you know what I mean?
I
Like, what?
know. Like, it's fine. There are bigger things to get worked up about, and I think ear seeding is fine.
Yeah, but again, it's like you don't hear the same conversation happening about a serum that promises you mental health benefits. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah. Let's start a little more
Which
commotion
seems
for
like a
rare
little
beauty.
right, seems a little more nefarious to me than just putting a sticker on your boat, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. So that's my mess of the month,
Fantastic.
and
We
that's
did it
it.
again.
We've done it. If you listened this far and you
Or
liked it
watched.
or watched, oh my gosh, yeah. Sorry I moved around so much. The other thing I will say is I fell down the stairs, like, horribly yesterday, like, cement
Oh.
stairs.
Oh,
I
no.
my tailbone is, like, bruised. I
Ugh.
can't sit comfortably, so I've been, like, fidgeting the whole time. I'll try to sit more still for our next
I
recording.
can't promise that. I sit on a hard wooden stool, and we get to a certain point where I'm just going to move around, I don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for
Yeah, thank
listening.
you.
If you liked it, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever. And we will see you next month for the next episode of Mess World.
Hell yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Hot, 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 hot.